Welcome to Think Big for Africa podcast. On this podcast, we will bring you interesting conversations with local, national, and international African leaders from all walks of life, home and abroad. Leaders who are doing their bits to progress Africa's development. Conversation topics will range from education, science, health, leadership, politics, business, and many other global issues. Conversations about everything that concerns Africa's development. Africa has so many wonderful achievers worldwide, and this is exactly what we will bring to you on Think Big for Africa podcast. Stay tuned.
Hello, welcome to the Think Big for Africa podcast. My name is Ekene Banye, your host. Today, I have a lovely young lady in the fashion industry. She's the founder of Lhaude Fashion Network. Her name is Rhoda Aguonigho. Rhoda, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me, Ekene.
Thank you.
Super excited to be here.
Very good, very good, very good. So tell me, let's start. Tell my audience a little bit about yourself and your work.
Okay, so my name is Rhoda Aguonigho. I am a fashion consultant and entrepreneur. I have been in the fashion industry for over 5 years. And, for me, it's been a very interesting journey because when I started in the industry, I was super, super young. Thinking about it is more than 5 years, actually, about 8 years. I was super, super young. I think I was about maybe 16 or 17.
Wow.
Not so sure. So at that time, it was really about being a designer and just wanting to be all stylish and all of that. But I think one very interesting thing about my journey is that I have kind of grown, over the years in the industry. I mean, I started wanting to be a designer, but I was never a designer. I didn't stay with it for like maybe more than about a year.
Yeah, you're young. You're young. You do things. Yeah.
I started to transition into other things in the industry. And, one thing about me, or one thing that I've learned, is that I'm very passionate about the fashion industry.
Okay.
And not just in the sense of the creativity of the industry, which is what everybody knows, like the colors, the style, but even more about the sustainability of the industry, more about empowerment, more about growth, more about serving Africa's problems, via fashion and every other thing that I do. So aside from fashion, I'm very into women development.
Okay.
So I run a community for women called Her Blooming Place. And the community also has a foundation called Her Blooming Place Foundation.
Okay.
So what the foundation does is we feed the poor. So it's like a food bank. And then it's also a source of help to women in need. So counseling, help, just being that source of support to women in need. But for the community, it's more about transformation, about community, spirituality for women. Yes. So I think that's really about me. I'm just all about fashion, women development. They say I'm young. I don't know how young that is. I live in Lagos, Nigeria. It's just that simple.
All right. When we talked briefly from some days ago, you told me something. I know right now I can't really remember exactly what you said, but you said something that rang my bell, and I told you, no, stop. I want you to tell me that on this program.
Yes.
Okay. So remind me. See, you like I said, you said something that struck the bell. So I want you to remind me what you said.
I think we were talking about Lhaude.
Yes.
At that time.
All right.
So I think you had asked me about Lhaude Fashion Network, and I was telling you what led to it and what Lhaude is about.
Good. So tell us.
So when I was 18 in the university, At this time, I'd started to do fashion for about 2 years. I live in Nigeria, so I schooled in one of Africa's finest university.
Oh yes, which one?
Obafemi Awolowo University.
Okay. One of them.
One of them.
Yeah.
So when I was in school, I realized that as a creative, once you're out of the fashion capital of a city, it's hard to connect, it's hard to get opportunities, it's hard to, get any source of funding or help or anything. And, in a country like Nigeria, Lagos is the fashion capital. Yes. And I was a fashion stylist and enthusiast schooling in Ife. And I looked around me and I realized that I wasn't the only one. There were so many of us, we had models, designers that would have to leave school, travel to Lagos, just trying to build their portfolio. And I'm like, you know what, why don't we create something, an initiative that fosters collaboration, an initiative that brings these opportunities closer to grassroots creatives, grassroots entrepreneurs. And that really was the start of Lhaude for me at that time. It was more of an initiative to foster collaboration, to bring opportunities to other grassroots cities, just beyond the metropolitan city. And at that time, it was Lagos, Nigeria and Lagos that was the focus. So the idea and conception of everything came in 2016, but it wasn't until 2017 that we were able to put together our first event.
Okay.
Which was Lhaude Networking Cocktail. So what we did at that time is we got everybody together, all the creatives in Ife, and then we got fashion professionals, people that had been in the industry for a long time. They had experience, they had, made some sort of impact. We got them to come down to Ife. So I remember then we got Style Infidel. I don't know if you know him.
No.
And he's one of Nigeria's biggest stylists.
Okay.
I would even say Africa. I mean, not just
very
Nigeria,
good.
So good. And Samo Noon, who's a designer. So we got them down to Ife, and it was such a blast. So the designers, the creatives in Ife for the first time had an opportunity to network and connect with somebody who wasn't exactly in their category, if I would put it in that way.
I understand.
Someone who is, a bit up the ladder, who has entered the mainstream market, who was actually doing something tangible. And that really was the beginning of Lhaude. And we've grown, our identity has grown. Now we are no longer an initiative, we're an organization, a fully registered organization.
Very good.
And our focus is creating opportunities for fashion startups in Africa. So it's not just an initiative, it's now an organization that caters to fashion startups in Africa. So we're bringing business knowledge, fashion education, mentorship. In the next couple of months and years, our goal is to even provide funding, because I find that the fashion industry is growing. There's a lot of focus on the industry. Everybody says, oh my God, there's so much creativity in Africa, but it's such face value. It's very surface based. It's very, it's creative, it's nice, looks good, but it's not very deep in the sense that, fashion businesses are not really getting as much as they should, or fashion businesses are not really being as sustainable as they should. We have a lot of fashion businesses in Nigeria and Africa generally closing after the first 5 years. Very few, a lower percentage, less than 20%, if not 10, cross that 5 year.
The truth is that businesses across the world generally go through those phases, okay? But like you said, you're starting something unique. And I would say this. I wanted to ask you this.
Okay.
How were you able to do that, to get these big wigs to your events at such a very young age? Because I know this. In Africa, we respect older people. Yeah. We respect people who have made an impact in the industry. So, see, I'm asking you this question because there are many young entrepreneurs in other areas of life who will be listening to you and they'll say, wow, how did you do that? Because they want to know. So I also want to know, how did you do that?
Okay, so like what you said is so true about how people respect more older people. And I think one thing I would say is it's been a journey. One of the things that I believe worked for me at that time for the first event was I didn't just reach out to anybody, that I just thought was big. I wanted to reach out to somebody who had some sort of connection to the story or the message that Lhaude carries, someone who would feel some sort of emotional connection to the agenda of the organization. And, that would compel them to come down. Because if I'm being very frank, I mean, we were in Ife at that time.
Yeah.
And bringing somebody from Lagos, and there are no flights that take you from Lagos to Ife.
Yes.
So it means this person I'm bringing is going to be on the road for 3.5 hours.
Like I've been to Ife. I had a lot of friends in Ife. I've been to Ife when I was in school, so I know. And I believe the I don't know how the roads are these days, but yeah, it's
the road is terrible. It's 3 hours, and I'm not paying this person.
Yeah.
I think one thing that I really did then was to reach out to somebody that had some sort of connection. So for that event, we had Style Infidel, who's one of Africa's or Nigerian's finest stylists. But
yes.
A backstory to that is that Style Infidel graduated from OAU.
Okay. See, now let me.
Even though I'd never known him, funny enough, I'd never known him. I'd never met him. I'd seen his work. He's doing great things.
Yeah.
Even it wasn't until I started to reach out to him that I realized that, he graduated from Ife. And one thing I realized was when I saw the message of what we are about and what I was trying to achieve, because he could relate to it.
Very
it
good.
was easy for him to pay that
say,
sacrifice.
hey, I will help this young lady. Very good.
Yes.
Very good.
It was easy for him to say, you know what, it's worth it. I've been through this journey. I know how difficult it is. And I think another thing that helped is the fact that for him, fashion isn't just about the money or the style. There's a part of fashion that is impact-based that he just felt connected to. And that was one of the things that helped. So for anybody listening, one thing I would say is don't just randomly look for people that you think, this is a popular person. This is this, that. Especially if you're just starting, it's still one thing that, even as a growing organization, there are certain people that would not listen to me because they don't know who I am, but look for people that can connect to your message. Look for people that might have had similar experiences as the one you're trying to pass. I do find that when you reach out to them and they see the genuinity of what you're trying to do, they just get attracted and compelled to be a part of what you're doing. And because I could get him to come, the consequent years, it was easy to get other people to just come on board. So I think for us, that's one thing. It wasn't just about anybody. It was somebody that can connect to the message, somebody who felt connected to the place that we're bringing him to, the place that we're having the event. And, after that, other things started to just come into play, and it became easier to just bring people to events, because we had in Ife, in Ibadan, in Lagos, across Southwest.
Very good. Very good. Thank you very much for that. Now, so tell me, what exactly do you do in Lhaude Fashion Network? Okay, tell us more about that.
All right. So, like I said, we started as an initiative, but over the years, we've grown to become a fashion organization. And I usually say that there are two parts of our organization. One part is impact-based, which is a community, and the other part is our business. So I'll talk about the impact-based, the community first, which is that for us, that's really the core. That's why we started. So one part of what we do is we currently host a fashion community on a digital platform. So last year, in the midst of the pandemic, one of the things that dropped in my heart was about how a lot of startups, in the fashion industry, in the creative industry, are probably in a place of disarray and confusion as to what to do about their business. It's a pandemic, everything's shutting down. And, the fashion business it's not like food that you have to eat all the time.
Yeah.
It's so I could see that and I remember I was always getting a lot of messages from people that have been in our programs and everything. And one thing that just came to me was that, you know what, let's get everybody together. Let's be on one platform, where we can, in the meantime, educate ourselves. We can connect, we can share business opportunities. And that pushed us to launch the Creative Haven, which was launched in April last year, right in the middle of the pandemic. So the Creative Haven is a digital community, currently hosts over 200 creatives across Nigeria.
Very good.
So it's like a one digital platform. We have a WhatsApp and a Telegram group where like a lot of creatives just come in, and on the group we share weekly resources, podcasts, videos, job opportunities, grants, programs that people can go for. And then we usually have like weekly training, monthly trainings. And then it's also like a collaborative sport. So we've had a lot of
the more I listen to you, the more I love what you do. You see, the more I listen to you, the more I love what you do. Because, see, I can't stress enough how important education is to develop Africa. Okay. In whatever space we are, we need to educate ourselves. And that's something I'm about. Okay. That's one of the reasons I have this podcast.
Yes.
Okay. Because I know we don't have, one of the things we lack in Africa is that we don't have means to learn from people who are Africans, who are doing things, to learn about that journey. Because journey is not just their success. Okay. When it arrives, everybody sees you, but they don't know what you went through to get to where you are.
Yes.
Okay. So I love the fact that you are pro education, and you show it by the things you do. So continue.
Yes. So like I said, there's that community. So for one of the things that we do in the community is we're constantly creating resources, constantly creating opportunities, more mentorship programs. Last year we launched our official mentorship scheme, which is a 3-month mentorship program for fashion creatives. We paired them with 3 mentors in the industry, and they have that program for 3 months. This year, in I think in April or March, we launched our first incubator program called the Leap Project, which is it's a 6 weeks in class training for fashion startups. So we worked with 12 startups, and we connected them to education, just everything they need to know to run a sustainable business. And we had like an assessment. So where the top 5 got prizes worth 200,000 naira. And we're currently working on the second cohort, which is going to happen later in the year. So that's what we do on the community side, is creating opportunities, creating resources, fashion education, collaboration. On the business side, we want, because it's an organization.
Of course, see. Sorry, I will say this again. People, I talk to a lot of young Africans who want to start something, but most of them want to start NGOs. Now, like I said, I've said several times, NGOs are great and we need them. Okay. But we need more business focused people.
Yes.
Okay. Right now, Africa need a lot of business focus. Because business drives the economy.
Yes.
All right.
It does.
So why I'm saying this is because I saw that you were a little bit reluctant to just say business. What you are doing is a business that has impact in the community. Okay.
Yes.
So you are a business person who does things that impact the community. All right. So don't be shy to say that.
Okay. Okay. So on the business side, one of the things that we do is brand development for fashion businesses. Like I said, I've been in the industry for a long time, and I've had a very interesting journey. So I came in as a designer. I grew into a stylist. I started writing. At some point, I was an editor for a magazine in Nigeria here, and then I became an editor for a website. And also over the years, I've worked at most of the biggest fashion shows we have in Nigeria here, GT Fashion Week, Lagos Fashion Week. I've done a lot of production, event management. So for me, I've gathered a lot of experience, and not just theoretical experience, but practical experience, in the industry. And I do realize that a lot of brands in Africa or in Nigeria, they are very unaware of what it takes to actually start and run a brand. So one of the services that we offer is brand development.
Okay.
Helping fashion startups actually launch and grow. Another thing that we do is content creation and marketing. So it's PR, content creation and marketing for fashion businesses. And another thing that we do is consultation. So we do, and our consultation is on 2 levels, consultation, one-on-one consultation for small businesses, and also consultations for multinationals and organizations that are trying to connect with the fashion market. I mean, we have a community of over 200 people, so there are a lot of brands that are trying to connect with those people. So we consult and just serve as middlemen, for those brands and multinationals that may be trying to get into the fashion industry in Africa or Nigeria.
All right.
So that's like what we do on the business part.
Wow. You are doing a lot. You are doing a lot. And I say, this is a start. Okay.
Yes, it is.
This is a start. But what you have done in this short space of time, 10 years, is going to grow. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, see, fashion and music, okay, evolves with culture, okay, and traditions. That means the kind of fashion a particular community has is traditional, okay? The kind of clothes, look at you. You are wearing an African print, okay?
Yes, sir.
It's African. It comes from your community. It comes from your culture. All right? Good. That's see, Africa as a continent is the most diverse continent in terms of culture, in terms of traditions, in terms of history. So the fashion industry, when it grows, and as it grows bigger and bigger, you have the diversity will express itself. See, let's just pick Nigeria. Okay. The kind of clothing that people in Ife or your Ibadan wear, okay, the majority of them wear, are slightly different from the ones that people in Lagos, okay, just less than 200 kilometers, okay, wear, okay. That's because of the difference in the culture of, I'm not talking about the original eco-indigens.
Yes.
I'm talking about Lagosians like me. Okay? I grew up in Lagos. Okay. Unfortunately, I grew up in Lagos, and what I wear today, a t-shirt or a polo shirt and a jeans, was what I was wearing in Nigeria.
Yes.
Okay, because my culture in Lagos was impacted by the Western culture.
Yes.
All right. So, see, what I'm saying is that the culture from place to place in Nigeria, in Africa, will be different. Okay. So, how do you connect this and help the people in your network to navigate and decide what to focus on. Because with so many different styles, they're bound to be confusion.
Yes.
All right. I don't know if I'm making sense to you.
Yes.
Okay.
I think I get it. So I think one thing that I would always say, number one, is, your originality is very key. If I come up here and I wasn't as original as myself, it would kind of show. There would be something that wouldn't be fully authentic about me.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I always say to people in the community. Your style, your design, your brand should always be original. The place where you need to, would I say, be the same as others would be on the levels of your level of operation. The excellence that comes with your business.
Very good.
The general business values, those are the things that are general. Marketing, advertising, those are general things. But when it comes to your creativity, it's very important to maintain your originality and maintain your niche. Because if everybody's doing the same thing, it gets boring. Nothing stands you out. So in as much as there is such a diverse, culture and style, like you said, I was in Ife for like 5 years. Even though I grew up in Lagos, I could tell the difference, between whenever I'm in Lagos, there's such a clear difference when I'm in Ife. Or when I'm in Ibadan, or, when I travel to Akure, there's such a big difference.
Yeah.
In fact, it's even more interesting to see that, there's between Ife and Ibadan, it's literally from Ibadan, you get into Ife, into Akure and Ife. But there's still a difference in the style in Ibadan and a different style in Ife. But you see, one thing that I find is there's a reason why it was made that way, because it is these things that stand you out. They show your roots, they show where you are from and what the substance from which you are made of.
Yeah. So
I always say the key is not to change that. The key is to refine that. So maintain your originality, maintain your uniqueness, maintain your niche, but just make sure that it's refined. It's sellable, it's marketable. One of the things that I hear a lot of people in our community say is, I want to sell across Africa, I want to sell across the world. Do I need to start changing the kind of fabric I use? Should I start doing a lot more cutting, a lot more? And I'm like, no, there's a market for African fabric, African print, African design in the US, in Australia, in Canada. But the only thing is you have to meet up to the standard. Of
quality, yes.
Standard of quality, standard of excellence, not the standard of your originality. Nobody wants to buy the same thing.
The standard of your originality is you.
Exactly.
It's what you put out. If you put it out at the highest standard, then anybody who gravitates to your platform will buy that standard. Yeah,
exactly. So I feel like that's the best way to manage diversity, because diversity is beautiful. Imagine that we have a carnival, or let's say a convention, a fashion convention, and we're saying everybody come as you are. And we have people from Nigeria, from Egypt, from Ghana, from South Africa. I feel like it's going to be one of the most beautiful sights ever.
Beautiful. I can imagine it.
Yes, such diversity in colors, in print, in speech, in attitude. And I think that's really what makes Africa unique. The fact that we are so connected in the state of our hearts, the sometimes maybe color of our skin, but at the same time, we're so different, in the little tiny things. It's one of the things that really makes Africa beautiful. And, I think diversity is really beautiful. So instead of trying to will I say change diversity, it's more about refining it. How can it be refined? How can the standard be increased? Standard of excellence, standard of delivery, standard of presentation, the general values that is required. How can all of that be refined while maintaining originality and uniqueness? So I don't know if that has answered the question.
It did. I've been doing this now for 4 or 5 months. I have never smiled as much as I'm smiling right now. See, everything you say lands somewhere, and I'm excited. I'm excited for from what you do and the way you present it. You are going somewhere. You are going somewhere.
Yes, amen.
I know we have you have alluded to some of the challenges, but I really want you to dig deep and tell us some of the most challenging issues in the fashion industry. That's
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think like any other industry, there are a lot of issues. And, the issues even go on different levels. But I think one of the biggest issues that we face is one of the things you actually mentioned earlier, which is education. Over the years, people see fashion as a glam industry. It's about looking good. It's about, just dressing nice. It's about fashion shows. But you see, there's such a huge gap, when it comes to actual fashion education, what it actually means to be in the fashion industry, to run a fashion business. I've worked with a lot of creatives over the years, a lot of fashion startups over the years. And one thing that I find is when I have conversations with some people, why do you want to be a designer? Why do you want to be a stylist? I find that the reason a lot of times is so, for a lack of a better word, very artificial. It's very like, I just think that I like designing. I just think that I just want people to wear clothes. And these things are good, but there is actually a standard education that is needed. If the industry is going to be able to compete with any industry, and that is why the fashion industry is kind of big, is booming. But for some reasons, it's still not taken as seriously as other industries. And it's because, when it comes to the numbers, when it comes to the structures, there are a lot of gaps.
Yeah.
There are a lot of missing links. I strongly believe that a lot of money goes in and out of the fashion industry in Nigeria alone, not even speaking about Africa. But when we go down to the books, it's not visible, because there is no structure. Okay. There is no education. So I find that fashion education is one of the biggest, problems that we have in Nigeria and in Africa. A lot of people start businesses, but they don't even, they don't have a business plan. They have no idea of business foundations, no idea of PR, marketing, advertising, brand story. There's just a lot of missing link. It's just, I'm a creative. I find that it's not like other industries. You can't go into the banking industry without some sort of knowledge. And even when you go into the banking industry without knowledge, as you start to work, you have to take some courses. You have to go for certain trainings. And it's the same thing with the medical industry, with oil and gas. With agri. You have to learn. And I find that in the fashion industry, a lot of times we just go with I'm a creative. Yeah. But being a creative is not enough. You have to be, an educated creative. And an educated creative is not even, tertiary education or university education.
Rhoda, I think what is happening is that the other industries you mentioned have been there for a long time, okay? And the banks are already structured business entities, okay? The fashion industry in Nigeria or Africa are new, okay? And most of you are new entrepreneurs. So you learn, you're just learning. There are no structures. Now it's for you guys to recognize the limitations and start creating and building those structures.
Okay? Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that we do. That's one of the things that a couple of other organizations that I know do. But I'm just saying that I feel like sometimes when it's a problem and it's not recognized that there's a problem, had to solve the problem. And that's kind of one of the issues.
Good.
So sometimes we make it look like being a creative is enough. But being a creative is not enough to run a sustainable fashion business.
Yeah.
And that's why there are like organizations. I mean, recently, I know that recently a council for fashion education was launched recently. So, I mean, that's great improvement in that direction, but it's still a problem. But even that aside, I think another problem would be maybe access to funds. When it comes to financing. I find that a lot of people and organizations are not, they're a bit hesitant to put in certain amounts of money or putting funds or investment into, fashion businesses and industry. And sometimes when I listen to some of these MDs and bank and CEOs, when I listen to their reasons, it's kind of valid. And I think it tallies back to what I just mentioned earlier on about structures and fashion education. Because a lot of times the kind of response I get, because, at Lhaude, one of our goals is to be able to create funding and grants for creatives. I mean, we're working on a second incubator, and, one thing that we definitely need is funding, to make that happen. But one thing that I do find is, it just goes back to that complaint of, no proper structure, or, we're not sure that if we put in this money, we can get it back. Or when they say, can you bring out your books? Let's see how much you've made in 1 year, in 2 years. Sometimes the fashion businesses, it's all of that. There's all of that missing link. So I feel like the problems are still, it's intertwined. The structure problem, the education problem is intertwined with the funding problem.
Very good.
As we speak some of these things,
very good.
It kind of keys in. I think another problem that I would also mention, but I think it's something that it's gradually getting solved, is that there's that problem of originality too. So we had spoken earlier about the prints we have here, the fabrics and all of that. But sometimes the fashion industry in Africa can be, sometimes you see a division, you see a circle that is very elite, a standard that is very elite, and then you see a standard that is very what's that word now? It's not really, it's growing, it's grassroots, it's just coming out.
I get that one. I guess it will be solved when you guys, like you mentioned, when different entrepreneurs find their own niche. Okay. Yes. Now, if your niche is to cater to customers at the higher end, then the kind of fabric used will be of a higher standard fabric than someone who decides to cater to customers on the lower end. So so that will happen. But I love what you said about the funding issue coming from the standard, the accounting, the marketing, the education of the people running the business.
Yeah,
you're right. See, if I'm a banker, okay, which I was once upon a time. I worked in banking. I was never a banker. Let me correct that. So a banker would not like to fund a business, no matter what industry, if the people running the business do not adhere to a particular standard, don't have the books in order, and are not educated in the business. See, being a designer, being a what you call them,
stylist,
whatever, being a person in an industry doesn't mean you are able to run the business. See, that's what people need to understand. Just being a passionate person who likes music, for example, doesn't mean you are able to run a band.
Yes.
Okay. See, that's why business managers are around. Okay. a very creative person in a fashion industry might just be a designer and might not be good to run the business. So people need to understand that, yes, I have ideas, but to make it happen, I need to collaborate with other people. We come together to fund the business. Each of us will handle one part of the business, and we need to choose one to be the face of the business. It doesn't matter. I'm the one who designs everything. It doesn't matter. If I'm not good at communicating, if I'm not good at showing my face to the public, then you are not the right person to be the face of the business. So those things will come in the kind of education you guys put out
as we grow.
Yes,
hopefully,
yes. But you guys are doing a wonderful job.
Thank you so much.
I saw something on your page on LinkedIn about women in business.
Yes.
Okay. So tell me about that. What is it about?
Okay. So like I said, beyond fashion and all of that, I'm very interested in women development. And as a young woman, even when I was in school, I've always done multiple businesses. And even now that I run Lhaude Fashion Network, about 2 months ago, I recently launched another fashion business called Rollerball, which kind of caters to the general outlook of, a modern woman. So it's like a one-stop shop, where you get accessories, shoes, custom-made outfits, including this one that I'm wearing. I'm sure they can't see when they hear, but this one that I'm wearing. So I think one thing, women in business for me is I'm very passionate about women being empowered, and sometimes we say women empowerment, and we're talking about building their minds, building their spirituality, and those things are very important. But I also think it's important to build, their finances. So women are not just empowered mentally and spiritually, but they are also empowered financially.
Excellent. See, my daughters will. I have 3 daughters. Okay, so I'm a man of so many women. Okay, so see, that's one of the reasons I'm so happy about you, because I will tell you, my daughter is the one who is going to edit this video. Okay, so she will listen to you from beginning to the end. All right, so continue.
Yeah, so I'm also very passionate about women being empowered financially, and it's not just even about saying take 50,000 or take 100,000 or take 200,000, but get the knowledge. How can I make a business grow? What's the journey like? What's the process like? What businesses can I start? A lot of women are not even aware that, you can be a serial entrepreneur. You can replicate processes, replicate patterns, and it would actually yield. Some women are not aware that, businesses fail and it's all right. It doesn't mean that that's the end. You start other businesses.
It's not only business. It's not only women. Most people don't understand that. Most people, once they fail at something, they just give up business. Okay. And that's the wrong mentality.
Mindset. Yes. So really, that's what women in business is for me. And like I said earlier on, I still want a community called Her Blooming Place. So in the community, one of the things that I try to do, or that we constantly do, is we make sure that we have sessions, talk shows, empowerment trainings that equip women not just spiritually and mentally, but also financially. And it's in the books in the long run to even do more in that aspect. And even with myself personally, I really try to take out time to make sure that I'm learning more about business. And when I say business, it's not just about money, but the processes, the steps, the principles that can actually create sustainable businesses that can run, that can yield profit. And not just yield profit now, but yield profit in the long run, So that's it.
Very good. Wow. See, you are doing a lot. We'll talk about women in business. And while talking about one of the other topics, you mentioned LEAP, the LEAP project.
The LEAP project,
Yes. So tell me more about that. What is your ultimate goal with that?
Okay, so the LEAP project is Lhaude's first incubator program.
Yeah.
I think I'll just start with the last question. What's the ultimate goal? You know, I realized that in as much as we say, you know, fashion education, this, that, and we have trainings here, we have trainings there, you know, they are not a lot of structured programs and structured processes that help these creatives, you know, actually, you know what to do from start to finish. I don't think anybody can ever tell you or teach you what to do in your business from start to finish. Yep. But there are certain principles that you should know. And, you know, you look around, you see venture platforms for people in tech, you see venture platforms for people in business, you know. So the LEAP project is an incubator program, which is like a platform for people in fashion startups. And it's a structured in-class program. So you're spending 6 to 8 weeks in class, you know, constantly learning about different things, the different layers, the different things that connect, the tiny things that connect, you know, your business. So the different things that just, you know, layer up together, and everything that makes running a sustainable business. So we have a very robust curriculum, from business foundations to accounting and investment to branding and PR, you know, to marketing. So, and we had the first cohort in, I think around from March to May, or March to April, which was 6 weeks. So we had different professionals. We had Fade Ogunro of Bookings Africa, you know, Salem King. We had sustainability experts. We just had different professionals, you know, come and, you know, tutor the 12 creatives that we selected. So we selected just 12 because for us, it's not about the numbers in the terms of, you know, the number of people. Like, it's not about saying, oh, we've done 200. It's more about what's the impact that has been made. And we realized that, you know, for an impact, for great impact to be made, you know, sometimes you have to do little, you know, you work with a few number
focus on them, and
yes. So we started with 12, and for 6 weeks we were focused on those 12 people, you know, constantly teaching them, giving them resources, drilling them, giving them assessments, you know. And at the end of the day, it wasn't just a training and a class. You know, we gave them prizes worth 200K. So they got free POSs for their businesses. They got free use of Delali, which was one of our partners.
Interesting.
It's an accounting platform, you know. So that's really
I've had Ibrahim on the program. Delali.
Oh, you have?
Yes.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yes, Ibrahim was there. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, you know, Ibrahim was one of our partners. Delali was one of our partners.
Very good.
And for that project. So, and we're doing another one starting in between September to November, which is even going to be more intense.
Okay.
You know, the curriculum is even more robust. You know, we're doing mental health and wellness, because all of these things contribute to running a
they're all connected. Yeah.
Yes, you know, so it's going to be 8 weeks in class training, you know. It's going to be on site and online for people that cannot join physically.
Okay.
Because we're trying for this one, we're expanding the reach. So we're looking at having not just Nigerian creatives, but you know, maybe a couple, 2, 3, 4 from other African countries.
All right.
And for this new cohort, we'll be having 24 creatives.
Okay.
It's more classes, more mentors, more facilitators.
Great.
And this time around, we're also looking at not just giving cash and not just giving prizes, but actually giving you know, funding, cash, so that the things that they learn in class, you know, they have a bit of resources to start
working on them.
Yeah, so really that's what the LEAP project is about. It's an incubator program. You know, it's about building sustainable businesses, you know, a little at a time. So 12 now, 24, then maybe another day 12, another 10, 24. And in 5 years, you know, we would have trained over 200, you know, sustainable businesses, not just businesses, but sustainable businesses.
Well done.
Thank you.
I'm a very new, fresh person who thinks I do fantastic designs and I want to jump into the African fashion industry. Okay. And I meet you in a party in Lagos. Okay. And somebody tells me, this is her. She's the founder of a Lhaude. Oh, that's her. And I come to you to ask you, please, Rhoda, what advice would you give me as a new person in the industry?
Okay, so the first thing I'll say is to take a breather, slow down. I usually find that when I meet
yeah, good.
Okay, I usually find that when I meet people like that, they're always so excited.
Yeah,
they want to do this,
that's
and
it.
I'm stressed.
Excitement.
And I'm like, I get this excitement, but the first thing I say is, you know what, calm down, slow down. Let's take a breather. Now tell me about what you want to do. And one of the first things I always ask is why.
Yes.
What is your why? You have to have a why.
Yes.
You have to have a why, because generally we know that the economy, if we're going to be honest, in maybe not, let me not generalize and say Africa, but in Nigeria,
in the world
can be quite tough on small businesses.
See, I want people to understand. Sometimes we think this is happening. It's happened to me alone, or it's happened to me only because I'm here. No, it happens everywhere in the world. That's the truth. Yep.
So it can be very tough on small businesses.
Yes.
And if you don't have your why secured, you will fall out. You will fall out on the way. So I usually say, the first question is the why. Why do you want to do this? What is your why? And you have to be very sure about your why, be very confident about your why, because, I believe that we do life on the wings of our convictions and on the wings of our encounters. So it's how convicted we are about certain things, will strengthen how far we will go.
Yes.
While on that journey. So I usually ask the why. Another important thing I would say to take note of is your niche. So the African fashion industry is wide. What part of the fashion industry do you want to cater to?
Yes.
Who's your audience? What part of the industry do you want to be focused on? And this why it tallies with your audience.
Yeah.
When you know why you're doing something, the people that you need to reach, the people that need that solution you're providing.
Yes.
So, for me, it's the why, it's your niche. What do you want to focus on? What part of the industry do you want to be focused on? Is it styling? Is it designing? And, even under these things, they still have so under designing, you could be doing ready to wear. You could be doing bespoke, you could be doing custom made. Under styling, you could be doing, shows and video shoots and all of that. You could be doing personal styling. It's very broad. And the industry is even very broad. Beyond the regular styling, designing, there's so many other things. There are many other things. There are business managers, there are fashion communication experts, there are fashion PRs, there are fashion consultants, there are so many, there are pattern makers, pattern drafters, so many. The industry is very, very wide, so it's why do you want to do this? What is your niche? What do you want to be focused on? And from there, we just start to go down to the many other things that, is required to, it's a whole process.
Yes.
There's something I always do. I always give to my clients, when I consult. It's called the business model canvas.
All right.
And one of my favorite things to introduce to my clients when they come to meet me, because it just really shows you your business on a sheet of paper. You look at it, you get to answer questions that are tough, that gets you thinking. And by the time you finish answering these questions and you see your business on a sheet of paper, you then know if I'm ready to do this, or I don't think I can do this. So
very good. What you're doing, in essence, as a consultant, is coaching. Okay.
Yes, a bit of coaching.
Yeah. And the question of why, as a coach, that's the biggest question I want my clients to answer. Okay.
Yes.
Because coaching is about results. Okay. To help your clients get the results they say they want, they need to know, and you as a coach need to know that why. Why do you want this? Okay. And as a coach, I help them to find the why. Okay. Because like you said, if you don't have a strong why you want to do something, when the challenges start to fall on you, you will give up.
Yes.
And that's why many businesses, that's why many humans give up in so many areas, because we don't know, we are not convinced on why we're doing it. So once something, boom, they say, okay, I'm gone. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah. See, so it's important. And then something else, you see, like you said, the industry is very diverse. There are so many professions within that industry, so many. See, when we start with that passion, we think we are entrepreneurs.
Yes.
With the kind of questions you ask, they will quickly find out, okay, no, I'm not ready to run a business. I just want to focus on this small space. So what I need is to get hired by a business who needs this. Yeah. See?
And it's so interesting because that was what it was for me. When I first started in the industry, when I first heard about the industry or got the interest, I wanted to, it was about, oh my God, I want to be a designer, I want to do this. But then I remember I learned tailoring and the basics and everything for a couple of months. And about like maybe 6, 7, 8 months into the industry, I was like, you know what, this is not for me. I'm just going to be a stylist. And, I became a stylist and a writer, and I started working for other people, and that was fine. And I was still in the industry.
Yeah.
I just wasn't, and at that time, I just wasn't an entrepreneur. I wasn't running a business. But
yes.
I was working in the fashion industry.
Exactly. So people need, it's not, there are very few people who have the entrepreneurial gene in them. That's the truth. Okay.
Yes.
Now we know people can learn those things, but the only way they can learn those things is when they work for an entrepreneur.
Yes.
And they learn those skills and they build their own resilience to now stand up and run their own thing. Good. I'm a little bit sad because our time is coming to an end. It has been fantastic listening to you, what you do and how you do it. So I'll ask you my last question for you. What is your vision for the African fashion industry in 20 to 30 years' time?
Okay, so that's a big one. I think for me, first of all, is to have an industry that is thriving and sustainable, and not just thriving at the topmost floor, but thriving at the grassroots.
Very good.
Grassroots fashion is a very big deal for me, and that's one of the things I was trying to mention earlier on when I mentioned the elite. Because there's a way that you look at the top 10 designers in Africa and they're getting international coverage. They're doing well, and it looks like, oh, the industry is growing. No, the industry is not growing. It's the top 10 designers that are growing. There are a whole lot of other people, who belong to the grassroots, who are creatives, that are finding it hard to connect to all of these opportunities that is coming to Africa. So I think my general vision, for me, is to have an industry that is booming and thriving, and not just the top of the industry booming and thriving, but even down to the grassroots, so that every opportunity, every coverage that comes to the African fashion industry, is evenly distributed. So those are the top are getting it. The middle layer is getting it. The grassroots is getting it, because that is the only way it can be sustainable. Because at some point, those at the top will no longer be at the top, and if the middle has not been groomed, or the grassroots has not been groomed to take over, the industry will fall away. So,
Yes.
the only way that the work that we can be doing in the industry is sustainable, can be sustainable, is if every tier in the industry is growing. The top tier, the middle tier, the lower tier, the grassroots tier is growing. So I think that would be my vision, a sustainable and thriving industry on all levels and all tiers.
See, I love you. I love your vision. I love it. I really, really love it. Rhoda, thank you very much for being on the Think Big for Africa podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I think this platform is really great. Like you said earlier on, it's really, really nice to not just hear success stories, but hear journeys and, see that our stories are being told by ourselves. We're not waiting for, I have nothing against CNN or BBC, but we're not waiting for like international platforms to, be the ones to tell our stories, because they'll tell you their way. They'll tell you their way. But when we are the one telling our stories ourselves, there is something original, something, undiluted about it. And I think that's one of the things that this podcast is. And it's really, really amazing. So you're doing such a great job, Ekene. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Listen or watch more episodes of Think Big for Africa podcast with new guests every week. Subscribe to ensure that you are notified whenever new episodes are available.